Good morning. It is the 20th of June 2024. And last week we looked at a Western themed war game with about the bullet, you are legend. And this just kind of fell in my laps, and we're looking at another war theme or Western themed war game. Really a skirmish game in Gunfight at the OK Corral. Solitaire Old West gunfight game. It is the advanced edition by Gary Graber, and it's produced by Minden Games. Let me be the first to say Minden Games was ahead of the curve when it came to book games. They've been doing them for some time. The games would usually come in Panzer Schreck magazine, but they would produce a lot in book form that you can buy on Amazon. And there's a bunch. So he's been doing it way before the outbreak of these latest games. The pandemic started, the outbreak from about 2020 to now. He was doing it way before then, and so Gary Graber and Minden Games was ahead of the curve on the book games for sure. What do I think about Minden Games? Well, I think that they're I don't want to say it, hit and miss. They have decent games, and anywhere from really, I thought, what is that, Leningrad? The Leningrad game, I forgot what it was. I thought that was an excellent game, and I've had a lot of fun with it in a lot of different ways, especially when you implement it in a much larger strategic game, and you use that little rule set to settle the Battle of Leningrad instead of using the rules of the game system, whatever game it may be. So I think it's a neat little game, and everyone should pick it up and check it out. Other games, like I said, there's some of them that I just thought were bad, and some of them I thought were okay. So they're hit and miss. And this one, though, I haven't looked at it much, but what I have looked at, it looks like it could be one of the better games from Minden Games, and let's check it out. Grab your guns, boys. This is the one thing I kind of made it hard to read from this right here, but that's okay. Gunfight at the OK Corral Advanced Edition is a 40-page book. Contains an Old West game that simulates gunfights in the late 19th century. The standard game focuses on the famous encounter that took place on October 26, 1881 in Tombstone, Arizona, territory between lawmen, the Earp brothers, and Doc Holliday. Yeah, Doc Holliday wasn't much of a lawman, that's for sure, although he was supporting the Earps that day, and a rustler cowboy faction, the Clantons and McLaurys, yeah, specifically designed for solitaire play. The game system includes several dozen famous and infamous gunfighters. It sure does, which I thought was kind of neat. Lawmen and outlaws alike of the era, which allows you to replay myriads of historical and hypothetical encounters. The game is tactical, man versus man, on the individual level, with each person rated in several categories that reflect actual abilities. The game represents 30 shots in 30 seconds, action focusing on what happens once the lead starts flying. Optional rules are included, allowing the game to be played by two. All right, that's kind of neat. I didn't know you could extend it to a two-player game, but that's cool. Rules and components. We'll look at the rules and components. Let's check it out. So here we got Doc Holliday, the Earps, Clanton here. You can notice him. Billy Clanton down there. Let's check it out and see what we're doing. How to use this book, right? Other Minden games here. I have some of these. I have Masada, which is a little solitaire game. It's an interesting look at Masada, actually. That's not too bad. Epic Last Stand. So, there's not a lot of decisions to make in Masada, right? Gunfight the OK Corral, the setting. We all know the setting. The setting is perhaps perhaps the most famous gunfight in the Old West. The Earp brothers and the Doc Holliday dispatched the Clinton McLaury gang in Tombstone, Arizona territory in 1881. Much has been written and movies made about the shootout as well as its participants. A lot of reenactments too. A ton of reenactments to that shootout. The goal of this game is to allow players to simulate the fight and perhaps understand for themselves more of what happened, having stood in the boots, so to speak, of the participants during this 30 shots in 30 seconds encounter in history. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of war games do. A lot of historical games do. They're historical. We want to look at it through the lens of history, right? Well, of course, we want it to be fun as well. Gosh, that wouldn't be. If it wasn't fun, there'd be no other reason. There would be a reason to play it. If it's historical and you learn something, that's a reason. I've found some games that I don't find fun that I've learned from, but I don't go back to them a lot, right? Some background information. This conflict has been characterized as a feud between cowboys and lawmen. Cowboys at this time was not a neutral term, but was synonymous with outlaw rustlers, who tended to be Southern Democrats. Lawmen were, well, lawmen, but in the Tombstone area, this could mean Midwestern. This could mean Midwestern law enforcement Republicans, which some CSA sympathizers, Confederate States of America sympathizers, considered carpetbaggers. Virgil, Virgil Earp and both deputy U.S. Marshal was both deputy U.S. Marshal and town marshal, and his brothers Wyatt and Morgan were special policemen for the town. A friend, Doc Holliday, was deputized by Virgil just prior to the encounter, or that's the story. I guess he could be deputized, and whether he was or not officially deputized, he was with them, so he was a deputy. If he was sworn in or not, he was acting as one. Bad blood and accusations had been building between the two groups for some time, yeah, and eventually things came to a boil. A Tombstone ordinance stated that all weapons had to be checked in. And on October 26th, the Cowboys were apparently violating this law and probably up to no good. Yeah, that's probably true. And Virgil set out to disarm them. The four lawmen confronted the group of cowboys near Fremont and 3rd Street, not far from the OK Corral. Guns were drawn and firing commenced in a narrow, vacant lot between two buildings. Yeah, it's more like a little alleyway, right? The gunfight was short but deadly. 3 cowboys were killed, while Ike and bystander Billy Clanton fled. Virgil and Doc received minor wounds, and Morgan a major wound. Wyatt was the only man who did not either run or get shot. The Earps and Doc Holliday passed into history as the good guy winners. 3 of their cowboy adversaries ended up buried on Boot Hill. Yeah, it's kind of a neat little going over. I know it took a while to read that, but it's kind of a neat little going over the history of that, right? And yeah, it was a gun ordinance. You had to check your guns in. That was not unknown in a lot of the western towns. Tombstone was one of them. I think they tried to do some in a couple places in Alaska during the gold rush, and but yeah, they were just trying to keep down, gunfights and gunplay in town, I guess. Yeah, so there was that sequence of play. Each turn consists of these phases completed in order. Not all phases are completed each turn. All men are assumed armed with pistols at the start of play. Exception: Doc Holliday is carrying a pistol. and a shotgun. The player must decide which he will be using at the start of play. Okay, like Holiday's carrying a pistol. He's going to be using the shotgun. I got news for you. I don't know. I might try the pistol and see what's going on. You nominate the targets phase, okay. Then you got your action phase. The third is the fire order phase. The four is the fire phase. So that's not a lot to it, but again, 30 shots in 30 seconds. Morale and stunned, okay. Optional rules, designer's notes. I remember, okay, TSR's Boot Hill rules. Forgot about that game in Avalon Hill's Gunslinger game back in the day, and wanted to design a quick Old West game that would allow players to experience, even if in a stylized manner, this famous gunfight without a lot of rules. Yeah, I agree with you. Gary. That's a neat thing to do. Now, whether you did it or not, that's for us to decide, right? When we do it. But yeah, I think it's a neat idea. And there's your little map, Fremont Street, right there. So that's pretty cool. There's your little map. There's your counters. Wyatt Earp, Morgan Earp, Virgil, and Doc Holliday. Ike and Billy Clinton there. Frank McLaury, Tom McLaury. Billy Claiborne, Wes Fuller, and Johnny Ringo. There's your hit roster. Optional map. Your reference card. Okay. You're going to be pulling cards here, it looks like. Ace to 2. Okay. Using a deck of cards, looks like. So that's an interesting way. Historical pictures. Advanced rules section. You got optional counters. Okay, Corral scenario. Okay. You got some additional historical gunfight fighter counters. Ben Wheeler, Ned Christie, Clay Allison, the Sundance Kid, Bob Dalton, Jack Slade, Sam Bass, Billy the Kid, Frank James, Butch Cassidy, Bill Doolin, Print Olive, Wesley Harden. Whoa, John Wesley Harden, man, it's kind of neat. Grant Dalton, Jesse James, it's another good one, Jesse James. Bill Miner, Wildcat 1, Wildcat 2, Wildcat 3, Wildcat 4, Wildcat 5, Wildcat 6, Storm Cloud, and Pedro. Okay. Additional historical gunfighter counters. Oh, wow. Let's see, do we have Tom Horn? Man, he was a gunfighter. He more like to use a long rifle than a belly gun, though, than a short gun. Bass Reeves, absolutely. Bat Masterson's another one that should be in there. No Roy Bean. I know he wasn't known for a gunfighter, but he was such a big figure in the Old West. I thought Roy Bean would make an appearance. All right, advanced game. Historical counter roster, okay. That's cool. I like all that. The shootouts for in the advanced game. I like looking at that. All right, well, that's it. That's about what you got. It's not a lot, but I think it's enough for you to understand what you're getting here. I hope to play this. Hope to play this soon. It's just a neat little game. Just a neat little game I wanted to share with y'all. It just came out last year, 2023. The original game came out in 2021, Panzerschreck, but in this form, in this advanced game, it all came out in 2023. So it's $14. That's not much at all. Pick it up, and if you want to see some Old West gunfighters, look at it on a tactical level, which that's almost an insta-buy for me as soon as I seen it. If it's going to look anything like a skirmish game or a little war game, I'm going to buy it and check it out, especially with the theme. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great day. Talk to you soon. Be careful and stay safe, and I'll be back as soon as I can. Bye bye.